What is up, everyone? This is Kyle from the TF Review, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Transformers Warrior class Bumblebee. Now, this is actually the brand new figure for the upcoming Robots in Disguise animated series, which is kind of a mixture of Transformers Prime and Tron Uprising, I would say, in terms of the animation style. Here's the packaging. It's a little tiny bit smaller than your average deluxe packaging, but I think from a distance it's really hard to tell. But it's very simplified. Usually there's graphics kind of all over, but they just kept it to the side, and here you have a nice piece of artwork of Bumblebee. On the back of the packaging you have another picture of Bumblebee, and apparently from what I've been hearing there aren't any instruction manuals in this set. It's actually on the back of the packaging, which is really kind of interesting. It also promotes the new scanner app that's going to be coming out soon. I guess you're able to scan the figure. You're able to scan the chest of the figure. That'll create some sort of animation or unlock some sort of goodies in the app, similar to what Power Rangers is doing right now. So, that's it. Let's open this packaging and let's take a look at this figure. Alright, everyone, so here we have Robots in Disguise Warrior, aka Deluxe Class Bumblebee, out of the packaging. And my first thoughts: if you are not a fan of the Transformers Prime aesthetic, you are really not gonna like this. It's very, very unrealistic, very stylized, very Tron looking, and very simplistic. So again, this is obviously not being designed for everyone in mind. It's more kid-oriented, obviously that's sort of their initiative, and this whole line is going to kind of be guided down that same path that Age of Extinction went, with the simplified transformations, simplified aesthetics, and simplified articulation. Now, taking a closer look at the vehicle mode, you can see it's very, very sleek. Not a lot of robot kibble underneath. The back, almost no painted detail at all, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But it is molded, so you can kind of highlight or Sharpie something in there if you want to. Nothing on either side. The wheels are unpainted. All of the deco is actually in the front, and the headlights in the black stripe. And there's a bit in the robot mode. You can see there's an Autobot logo just right there. Now, he does come with one weapon, his sword. It looks like there's a spot underneath that it would fit perfectly. You'll see there's a little groove right here, and you can see that the sword would naturally fit perfectly, like literally perfectly, right there. It's even got the grooves kind of up here that make it look like the sword goes there, but nothing. It doesn't want to stick in. So I'm not sure if this was maybe something they had in mind, but they kind of scrapped later on. But as far as I know, there's actually nowhere you can store his sword in the vehicle mode, which is a bit of a disappointment, unfortunately. And that does it basically for the vehicle mode. I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick size comparison with some of the more recent Bumblebee figures that we've gotten. Starting with Transformers Prime First Edition Bumblebee. You can see they are similar in length. And size. This one's obviously a lot more bulky. This one's a little more lowered to the ground. Not bad. And then I also have sitting next to me, this is the Reveal the Shield Bumblebee mold. They are actually, again, very similar in length. The newer one being just a tad bit longer. Last but not least, this is the most recent Generations released, kind of inspired by the Mustang. You can see they're actually very similar in color. Maybe this one's a little more green looking. Here they are. I'm comparing the bottom. And just for shits and giggles, we're going to take all of them. And I guess there's something with the Bumblebee and having stripes. I guess they want Bumblebee to look like Bruce Lee or something. Because every Bumblebee past the movie now has black stripes. I don't know why, it's just something they do. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, to be honest. Bruce Lee kicks ass. So that does it for this look at his vehicle mode. Let's go ahead, let's take a look at the simplified transformation and take a look at his robot mode. Alright, my friends, here we have Transformers Robots in Disguise Bumblebee in his robot mode. And I do have to say that in terms of an aesthetic, it actually looks really nice. He looks just like the character, if not a little bit bulkier, which is fine. That's come to be expected in Transformers. I have been having a couple problems, mainly with the feet. He's very, very hard to stand. He just wants to fall back 99% of the time. You do have to kind of lean him forward just a little bit in order to get him to stand. And another issue I've kind of been having is that nothing really pegs into place. When you slide his arms, typically, it would be nice to have like a click midway through. And that's not happening, so when you're posing him, you're actually unintentionally retransforming him back into his car mode, which is really, really a burden and kind of annoying. And it does the same thing with these doors. No click, nothing pegs into anything, it just kind of slots into place. But nothing's really keeping it from going back into the vehicle mode. It just kind of wants to automatically go back into vehicle mode. And that's a bit disappointing. Now you can see he's just like the character model in terms of his chest and head. I'm just going to do a little comparison. He actually looks really good. The face sculpt is great. I really dig the face sculpt. It's a little bit Transformers Prime-ish. You can see he's got some really great neck detail that makes him look a little bionic and make him look a little like he's got some soft bits underneath there, like his neck is some sort of vulnerable spot. Now on the back of the figure, you can see it's mostly his inner structure, which is molded in gray plastic. It's not a looker from behind. That's obviously for sure. Lots of hollow plastic, lots of blah blah blah. Not fun! But what is fun is articulation. Let's take a look. For articulation, his shoulders can actually pivot up and down. They're on ball joints. So you can get a good amount of movement out of them. You can rotate 360 degrees, but you have to orient the doors to get them out of the way. His arms do move 90 degrees. Just one direction. Ew, I hate that band. And they do have a lower bicep swivel, which is really great for articulation. No actual hand articulation. He does have a waist swivel. His head is on a ball joint, which is actually a really nice ball joint. Got a lot of emotion. Really nicely done. His legs are on universal joints, can move in and out, can move forward, back, side to side. And the knee joints are actually kind of pitiful. This is about as far as they can go, so not a lot of posability. He does have an upper thigh swivel, which again, really nice, and no actual feet articulation. They just kind of move forward and back because of the transformation. So he's got a fair bit of articulation, not as much as, you know, some other releases, but enough for it to be just slightly satisfying. Obviously, if you're giving this to a little kid, it'll be fine, really. And if you want, you can take his weapon, which I can't find. Now you can take his sword and just plug it into his hands. Actually, you have to slide it into his hands. It won't peg in. His hands are molded in hard, very brittle plastic. So I think if you try to slide it in like you would with other figures, it's not going to work. You got to slide it in from the top down. And he can get some nice sword poses, which is really cool. I actually kind of dig it. Again, there's no place else for you to store the sword. I mean, not that I can find. This is where having instructions would actually help, dear Hasbro. So yeah, now on for a quick size comparison. Alright, now on for a quick size comparison. Here is RID Bumblebee next to Reveal the Shield Bumblebee. And of course, Generations Bumblebee. So he does kind of fit in the same scale that Hasbro's been doing the past couple of years. It's obviously a very, very deluxe class figure size, and it fits in just nicely. A very new aesthetic, which is kind of not for everyone, but it's there. And here are my final thoughts on the first Robots in Disguise figure. I think that by trying to simplify the figures, Hasbro is sacrificing a bit more than just some paint and some articulation and transformation funness. You know, when you have a body that's just pure yellow, you kind of kill the character a little bit. And I think that in the case of this Bumblebee, that's sort of what's happening. I know it's probably going to be a really fun character in the show, but the toy itself just feels kind of lifeless to me. Not that it's a terrible figure, it's certainly not the worst Bumblebee we've ever had, but at the same time, it's a far cry from the best Bumblebee we've ever had, which is, this guy right here, Mr. Human Alliance. And I guess that's okay. It's something that we as collectors have to deal with, and we kind of have to embrace these characters and embrace these simplified toys, because that's what we've been doing for the past 20, 30 years, and we will continue to do so because, you know, it's alright. So that does it for this review. Again, not my favorite Bumblebee figure, far from the best actually, but it gets the job done. Not a memorable figure, but not a great figure. That does it for this review. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at the TF Review and like me on Facebook at the TF Review, and you can look for a full gallery of images on my Facebook page of this brand new figure. Thank you so much. I post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.